Hello and welcome to the fifth lecture in the series, which is on the academic culture in the United States and a pre-departure orientation before you fly to the US for your higher studies. This is the overview of the lecture series, and we are at the fifth step of the pre-departure orientation before you take the flight to the United States. We have already covered the course selection, university selection, online application and documents preparation. We also looked at how to prepare for visa interviews, and now after having completed all of this, we can go through looking at things what you can expect when you go to the United States, and how you can be better prepared when you go over there for your studies. So, the learning objectives of this particular lecture includes understanding how the graduate program in the US is structured. We will discuss here about how the programs are structured in a way that the kind of course assessments that they will take, the kind of grading system that they will have, what are the techniques for teaching that they use. So, here we will also talk about how becoming a scientist is not very different than any other job that you may be doing or any other career that you may choose. We will also discuss about health insurance and vaccinations, the requirements that may be from the universities, and also take a glimpse into the student life that you can expect over there. So, let us first start with the graduate programs in the United States. So, when I say the word scientist, I want you to imagine what kind of thing come to your mind. I'm sure from whatever you may have heard over the years, this is something which you may be imagining: a mad scientist working in the laboratory, gray hairs, working day in and day out on trying to do some experiments, trying to mix some liquids and see what kind of things are happening. This is unfortunately the kind of image that has been built up of a scientist, but if you really think about it, a scientist is no different than how you and me look. These are regular people. They work in the laboratory and they perform experiments in a systematic way. They are basically taught these things about how to go about searching for answers by doing experiments in a systematic way, so that you can reach an end, you can generate a hypothesis, you can test out that hypothesis, you can improve your critical thinking ability. So, all these things are basically taught to you when you are trying to become a scientist, and although these things do not come up easily or through a course as such, these things take time, and that is why masters and PhD programs are more focused towards research, which does not have like a fixed structure in terms of the kind like the coursework you have to do and then you are done. They always involve some kind of research work, some thesis based research work, where you perform some novel research and you show your findings to the world, and based on that, based on novelty of your findings, you are then granted your master's or PhD degree. So, do not be too alarmed by the word scientist. Everybody can become a scientist, and that is what brings me to my next slide. So, it is not necessary to think that to become a scientist that you have to have really lot of brains and you need to be really smart or very talented or those kind of things. I will use a cricket analogy here. So, we all know Sachin Tendulkar is a great natural talent. He was a great cricketer. He started very early in his age, and that is because he was a natural talent. He already had a lot of characteristics or features which make a person a better batsman, and so he was probably a good cricketer. But at the same time, we all know that Rahul Dravid was also able to achieve similar results as Sachin Tendulkar, although he was not as naturally talented as, let's say, Sachin Tendulkar. But with determination, with hard work, with perseverance, he was able to achieve similar success to Sachin Tendulkar. So a person with determination can also succeed as much as a person with natural talent, and that is why becoming a scientist is in the similar way. Not necessary that you need to be a born scientist or you need to be thinking like a scientist right from early days, but these skills can be acquired, these skills can be generated, cultivated, learned over a period of time. If you put enough dedication towards it, if you have enough motivation to do that, you would definitely be able to do that. And so the step that you have taken to go abroad and do a master's or a PhD, that would definitely help you to achieve this state and start your scientific career either in the industry or in an academic setting. Okay. So how are the graduate programs in the US structured? So as you may have known till now, each subject that we call in India is known as course in the US. So you may have to typically take 8 or 9 or 10 courses based on which you will be granted your master's degree, and each course is 2 to 4 credits or units. We saw the number of credits and units when we were discussing about university selection, where the curriculum mentioned about how many units each course was giving you. So if you took that course, you will be able to earn that many credits, and which will be counted towards your masters. So that is how they basically structure a program, that a course is usually for one semester or a quarter. You take classes which will be typically about 2 hours a week. The timings may differ, it may be in the evenings or in the mornings. There is a lot of flexibility around the class timings, so it all depends on when the classes normally take. You have the other time during the day when you don't have classes, that time is free for you to do your lab research, or if you are working on campus, then you can use that time for on campus work as well. The quarterly format is usually followed in all the universities, where fall to September, or fall will begin from September and end in December. Spring will start from January and it will be till April, and summer will be from May to August. Some universities also have a winter session, which may reduce one of the months from each of these, and it may be around the winter season, which is basically September to December again. So PhD is typically a 60 units of work. So this is again 28 to 30 units of coursework, but the rest of units are research. Whereas masters is 28 to 36 units of complete course, which includes about 24 units of coursework, and the rest a minor amount of research related units as well. So that is how you will have your master's program structured. There is a lot of free time to look at things by yourself, to explore things on your own, and it is expected that you do a lot of reading when you come to the classes. You will be aware, you will be made aware of all the topics that will be covered in the lectures before the lecture, and so it will be expected that you have a basic understanding of all those topics. So you make sure that you read through those topics and then you go to class. So that will help you to participate in the class discussion. It will help you to ask the right questions, and it will also help you to make sure that you understand everything that is going on. Sometimes at least at the start it becomes very difficult, because it may become difficult because the system is a bit different from what you have in India. Here you may not necessarily need to participate in class discussions as such, and the coursework is pretty specified as to this is what you have to teach and this is what you have to study, and the syllabus has to be completed in that format. But it's not like that in the US. The courses are basically more research oriented. The professor will be teaching from their own research experience as well as from the textbooks. The textbook component is usually much lesser as compared to the research component and the expertise of the professor. So for example, if it's a drug delivery course, most likely the professor has been working in that area for 15-20 years. So they would be teaching from their research articles, they would be teaching from their current research which may be going on, and on whatever basic things that you need to know about drug delivery. So that is how each course will be structured. Okay. Coming next to course assessments. So I know this is one of the major concerns for the students. So this is again another thing which is very different for students from India. Here you may be asked to write long drawn answers which may go on for pages, but in the US the exam types are usually mostly midterms, which is again MCQs, multiple choice questions. there will be a presentation or a group activity where you would be working on some topic for a particular period of time, and then you will be presenting to the class at the end of the session. There is also a final exam where there will be MCQs or short answers at the most. Again, these could be open book or closed book depending on the course, but usually these are the types of exams that will be used to grade you for that course. And each exam will have some percentage of the total grade, and based on that your final grade will be calculated for that particular course. Participation matters. This is very important. So as I was saying, it's important that you ask questions. It's important that you comment, or you provide your views on what you think, or about what the professor is teaching. If you are just sitting in the class and not participating in any discussion, this will definitely have an impact on your grade. The GPA is usually on a 4-point scale. This is similar to what is also there in India nowadays in a lot of universities, but if not, all the universities will follow a GPA format, where your grading will be an alphabetical grade A, B, C, D, and based on that your GPA will be calculated at the end of the course. Okay. Coming next to this grading, as I was saying, the distribution of the grading is basically dependent on how well the class does. So to give you an example, like in India, where let's say you have an exam which is for an internal exam for 20 marks, there may be 5, 10, 15, 20 people who may score 18, 19 or 20, and it may not affect the grade for another student who may score 15 or 13. But in the US, it depends on how the class is performing to be able to decide your particular grade. So what I mean by that is, whatever is the grading which has been given to the students, it all has to fit into this Gaussian curve. So only the top 15% will get an A plus grade. So let's say if in a particular exam, if there are not many people who have got the top grade, the let's say 18 out of 20, or the highest score is 18, then the top 15% between the score of 18 and the minimum score, which let's say is 8, so within 8 and 18 there will be this distribution curve which will be drafted, and based on that your grade will be selected. So average performers are usually with the grades B, B plus or A. So this is the 70% of the population which will fall within this within these grades. The non-performers, which will be considered, let's say from scoring 8 to 12 or 8 to 10, depending on what is the 15%, the bottom 15%. So those will be given the grade C, and the top performers will be the toppers with let's say between the scoring of 16 and 18, or whatever is the top 15% within that range. So that is how the grading is done. That is how your grades are calculated. So it matters how your colleagues are scoring, and based on that your grade is going to be decided. So if the whole class is scoring very good marks in that exam, and it's an easy exam, then it's going to be more and more difficult for you to get the highest grade. So keep that in mind. Okay. One thing that you have to definitely remember is plagiarism is strictly prohibited. So what I mean by plagiarism is, sometime for internal assignments, or maybe for a report that the professor may ask you to write, you may take some parts from different sources, and you don't add the reference of where that particular sentence or that particular paragraph is coming from. So that would be considered as plagiarism. You would need to reference the source from where you are getting that information. You cannot make minor modifications to something which is already published, or another student's report, and just make some modifications to it and submit that as your own. If you reproduce someone else's content, that will be taken as a strong negative point. There have been students who have been removed from the programs, deported back to India, just because they were not following all the guidelines with regards to plagiarism. So this is a very important thing to remember, and make sure that you don't fall into these things. Plagiarism is nowadays easy to catch up as well. There are softwares through which, if you submit a page of writing, it will tell you from where on the internet you may have got a particular sentence, or where something is in that format available already. So it's easy to pick up if something has been copied from one place or the other. So as much as possible, make sure that you are true to your work, you are spending time, you are putting in the hard work which is required. It may be difficult at the start, so it would be important, if that is the case, that you discuss with your professors, you talk with them, you try to understand what may be the requirements and how you may improve. Your professor would be supportive of that if you go, and there will be a graduate advisor as well. So you can contact these people and get some help if you need to perform better in the courses. But make sure you don't do something like this. It's a strict no. Universities have policies against this, and there has been already cases, a lot of cases with international students who had to be deported because they took some plagiarism, they used some plagiarism in their report work. Okay. Coming next to the office hours. So professors usually will have office hours where they will be available for you to discuss any questions you have regarding the coursework, or any concept that you may not have understood, something which has been taught in the class if that was difficult to understand. For these things, the professors will have office hours. At that time you can meet them and discuss these things. You have to email the professors to get an appointment, to then be able to go and be able to meet with them. Usually there are also teaching assistants for the course, so these are designated people who you can approach if you have any questions on the coursework. Asking questions is not seen as a sign of weakness. Now this is very important to remember. Don't feel that if you ask question, then it may be seen that you don't understand things, or you may get a lower grade, or people may think of something of you. It is just that it shows that you are inquisitive, it shows that you are dedicated to understanding the topic, it shows that you are ready to put in the hard work, and you want to understand how these things work. And so it will be important that you take those steps and communicate very clearly as to what you are not understanding and what you need to understand. So this way you would only be able to help yourself. So make sure that you ask questions. Class participation matters, to repeat again, and make sure you read up a lot before you go to the class, so that you are well prepared to take in the new research work or new understanding about things which are taught in the class. Okay. Another thing which you can do, especially if you are, let's say, targeting an industrial position after your masters, is you can learn more and more techniques as possible during your masters. So this is an example of a job portal advertisement for a position of a senior research associate, drug discovery biology. So here you can see they specify the requirements as MS with 2 to 5 years of experience, and you need to have these skills like Western blotting, qPCR, ELISA. So these things will be clearly mentioned in the job description. So if you are targeting any specific jobs, you can try to search for them on the online job portals. You can see what kind of skills are required. You may be worried about the component of, you may require experience. Obviously company will prefer somebody with an experience, but it's not always that they would get people with experience. So if you have experience doing this during your masters, you may also be preferred as a fresher. You may join in to the company. This can also help for internships, and if you have done internships, then it would also be useful when you go after your masters. So I've shown some of the skills here, like cell culture, using able to use HPLC or animal handling, flow cytometry. So these are techniques which you should learn if you're targeting an industrial position in research, or any similar positions. If you're targeting, you can try to look at what skills are necessary. You should be able to perform a Western blot experiment. So if you have done that during your master, you would be able to show that yes, I really know this, I have performed this for my experiment, for my research work, for my thesis, and based on that it will make you more and more attractive to then be able to get a job. Mind you, the job market would not be easy to get in, so as many skills as possible you are able to develop during your masters, it will only help you. It is also important to remember that there will be a limited period of time during which you will have to find a job after your masters. So it's not like you have a lot of time that you can use to find a job, but because there is a very small amount of time, it's better we use it as best as possible. And so it's important that you think about this during your masters and try to gain and learn as many techniques as possible. Okay, next let's come to health insurance and vaccinations. So every university has a requirement that as an international student, you need to have all your vaccinations in check, and you need to have health insurance. There are requirements specifically spelled out on the university website, so make sure you check on them before you go. It may be required that you may need some vaccinations and have a proof of those vaccinations with you when you go to the US, or else there may be some vaccines that may be need to be administered when you go over there. So make sure you check on those requirements, as these differ from universities to university. It will be better that you check the website, and for the specific university that you are going to, you have that record with you when you go to the US. And then even when you have any issue, any medical issue, you can visit the student health center. There are doctors which will be available there who would be able to look at you. So do not hesitate in doing that as much as possible. Be healthy, keep good health profile, and make sure that you visit the doctor if in case you have any questions for them. If you are taking any prescription medicines, you may carry them with you while you are going. You should carry a appropriate prescription with you, and if you are going to be using them for a long time, or you would be needing them every day, it's better that you plan to consult a physician in the US and you get a prescription from there itself. This will help you to then continue taking those medications and also keeping a prescription with you. So that would be useful. Okay, so this was on the health insurance part. Next, coming on the student life. Okay, so this is another thing which a lot of students worry about, especially when the time comes close where you have to now fly to the United States. So housing in the United States is typically in an apartment. There is on-campus housing as well as off-campus housing. The on-campus housing is usually reserved for the undergraduates, or the people who are coming for bachelor's programs, and those students, and there are also some availability for graduate students, but it is usually much more expensive, and so students usually prefer to stay off campus, which is just next to the campus, in the surrounding areas around the university campuses, where you can rent an apartment. These apartments are typically 1 BHK apartments where you can stay with 3 or 4 students together by sharing the rooms. This is how typically all the students stay together, and based on the sharing arrangement, they are also able to share the cooking things. And if you have friends who you already know who are going over there, that also helps. If you are also from the same program, that helps together as well to study as well. So all these things start coming into picture when you start thinking of looking for housing. Ideally, if you can go to the United States, stay with a relative there for a couple of days, and during that time you are able to find an apartment. That would be the best scenario. I would not suggest to book something from here before you have seen anything by yourself, because the kind of housing may also differ from place to place. There may be some streets which may be more safe as compared to other streets, so make sure you talk about that with the students who are already staying there, if you know somebody, or with your relatives or somebody who you can get in touch with, who can help you with these kind of information. So before finalizing a place, make sure that you go over there, and if you are able to go over there and have a look at the place and then finalize, that would be the best. Okay, how to manage finances. So this is a major thing on the minds of students. Now that you are going to be living alone, you have to be able to manage all your finances by yourself. I have divided the expenses here into two different parts. There are studying expenses and living expenses. So studying expenses meaning all the examinations, the application costs which you would be basically covering from here, the university's fees. So this will have to be wire transferred to the university account. When you are in the US, you can do that as well. Also, the universities would require the fees only for the credits which you are taking in that particular semester. So the complete program fees would not be required to be paid upfront, or you don't have to pay a yearly fee at the start. You pay the fees for that particular semester or that particular quarter based on the number of credits that you are taking. So apart from the university fees, I would also suggest you be prepared for the cost of first 2 months of your stay in the United States until you find an on-campus job, if you're planning to work on one. So all of these expenses are basically out of pocket expenses, meaning you will have to take care by yourself. The living expenses, which is the housing rent, the groceries, electricity, phone bills, gas bills, all these things, if you are doing an on-campus job, that can be used to cover up for these living expenses. This calculation is only based on an arrangement if you are sharing an apartment with 2 or 3 other people. So your living expenses, so you typically, if you work on campus, and we'll come to that as we go ahead, you are able to earn enough to take care of your living expenses. This is only for master student that this particular calculation works. In case of PhD students, the university fees are waived off, so that is not something that you need to worry about. Apart from that, for the living expenses, you usually get a stipend which ranges somewhere between from $1,000 to $3,000 per month. So this stipend should be able to cover your living expenses easily, and that is why when you are doing a PhD, it is monetarily it is considered much better arrangement as compared to masters. But definitely during masters, you would have to work on campus for your living expenses, or you will have to be paying for that from your own pocket. Okay. What are the different kinds of on-campus jobs, you may be wondering. So these are a few examples which we have shown here. So we have like a front desk assistant. So all the universities will have offices, front desk, where they would need people who sit at the front desk and are able to assist people who come to the office with any questions or any documents that they need. There will be lots of offices on your university campus. Each building, each department will have something of this kind, where they employ student workers, and you would be able to work over there as a front desk assistant. All the universities also have bookstores. So these are basically kind of places where you get all the merchandise for the university. You get all books, you get all stationery which is required. So for these kind of things also they employ a lot of student workers. You may be able to find jobs over there as well. These jobs usually pay typically around $8 to $10 or $12, $15 maximum to an hour, for an hour of work, and you are allowed to work for 20 hours a week. So that is the maximum allowed hours to work in a week. This is because you are only allowed to work part time, and a full time work is considered to be 40 hours in a week. So part time would be considered as half of that, which is 20 hours a week. You are allowed to work on campus and earn money for that. So this could total to about $800, and this should then be able to cover your living expenses in a sharing arrangement. A typical another job which a lot of students do is working in the cafeteria. So there are coffee places on all the campuses. You can work in those cafeterias as well. Teaching assistants are usually the most preferred jobs, because these also help you to work with your studies. So these are typically again jobs which are provided from the professors. Again, these are not this may not be something which may help right at the start, because it takes time for the professors also to know you, and these positions are reserved for some of the senior members in the program. So typically when you start from universities, when you go over there and you talk to seniors, you would get to know which departments or where most of the students work. So based on that, you will have to apply for those positions, and if selected, then you can work on those jobs. For that particular reason, I would suggest that you also prepare your resumes before you leave for the US, and you are able to add some of these things in your resume, where you show that you have worked as a front desk assistant or on a front desk somewhere in a shop, or something somewhere that your work experience you can show. That would definitely help. Universities will also have some forums, so you can check those, or job portals where you can apply for jobs as well. So this is another thing which you can explore. Okay. All right, so I guess that covers all the points which you should remember before you go to the United States. I hope you had a fulfilling journey, and I wish that we were able to provide you with all the required information. For any further information, you can definitely contact us. Our contact information will be on the website, so you can get in touch with us if you have any specific question on any of the things which have been covered in this lecture series, or apart from this as well. Thank you.